My name is Eugene Evels. This is my goodwill message to the people of Bonny. I'm affiliated to Finima through the Opele House and the Akbar House. Both are of Finima. I want to talk about Bonny. Bonny is older than Nigeria. Bonny is older than River State because Bonny is over 700 years old. Recently, there was an incident about 2 weeks ago where in a couple of days about 5 boats were seized by pirates and some people kidnapped, and there was mass hysteria. And the question is it the first time? No. Okoloma Ikwangi had come out to list out the amount of such similar events that have taken place. And I think about 22 of them, which is what, and the last set that happened is one too many. Even some time ago, about a year ago, we all discussed this, and there was mass hysteria, and a woman lost her children on the river there. Out a state of helplessness, practically on a state of anomie. Yes, and today it has happened again, and there's this mass call for security and gunboats or no gunboats matter. And I just think that the gunboat matter is blown out of proportion. The reason is this: all we need to solve this problem is to schedule our travel times to and from Bonny. Normally, so we choose 7:30 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. There's an already existing rule in Bonny that says after 6 p.m. no boat leaves. So they cross themselves. Now for these times I have chosen, the boats will go in convoy. But before any boat is qualified to join that convoy, the union will have checked that your plugs are okay, your fuel is okay, and your boat is steaming properly. Then they have two security boats on each convoy, and each security boat will carry about 4 policemen, including a driver. And each one will have a general purpose mounted machine gun, which we can provide the resources for as a kingdom. And we're talking about 4 boats, we're talking about 16 security men, we're talking about 4 general purpose machine guns, we're talking about 16 AK-47s, and we're solid. One of the security boats will be in front of the convoy, the second one will be at the back of the convoy. And the one at the back, it will be there just in case there is a failure of any of the engines, so that that boat will remain with the people. Now, the question you asked me is this possible? Yes. Do we need to depend on government? No. I will remind us that in the time past, historically, our forebears, when they had challenges, even had to go, even though it sounds gruesome, but it took great sacrifice for two virgin princesses of the kingdom to be sacrificed so that they could have good trade relations, good drinking water, and for the channel to be open for trade. I think that before we talk of protest, I think that I love protest. I'm a serial demonstrator. And I think that before we begin to point fingers, Bonny has not done that which it's supposed to do by looking inward, considering the amount of resources available to the kingdom. Now, Bonny has 5 sources of funding: the federal government, the state government, which she contributes to by virtue of derivation, and local governments, then royalties that come to families and to the Chiefs Council through what the companies pay. And it is amazing that we hear that these are some humongous sums that are in excess of 5 billion annually, that we as Bonny people cannot provide 10% of that sum to secure that only channel that we have. And we have presented ourselves in such a way that even pirates will have the effrontery to come that distance to take people or to ambush people on that channel. This is not proper. This is unacceptable. This is not nice. Is it that we don't have money? We have. Yeah, and something peculiar had happened, and some people found it strange, and because the king, the crown was called out, that people were referring that the king should do something, even though we know that constitutionally that is not the responsibility of the crown. But it is so because of the nature of things, events have occurred in the kingdom, whereby if you go for contracts, they will refer you to the palace. If you go for employment, they will refer you to the palace. So naturally, people expect that such over concentration of influence and power, they expect that in times like this, something has to be done. Now, it is amazing that in such a properly structured place, from which Opobo came out from. In Opobo, every family have minutes of meeting from the 1950s today. But we are having in Bonny over 5 billion naira, and there's no budget. There's no document called a budget where you see that 10% or 5% of the sums that are received as for security, for water, for good drinking water, for education, so that there's a fund so that no Bonny child is out of school. That has not been the practice, and there has been no form of accountability. Bonny, I beat my chest and I stand to be proven wrong that no community in Bonny, including the kingdom, has given accounts, public accounts, rendered an audit of the finances that comes into that kingdom. I think it is not proper, and most of these funds are coming from by virtue of the presence of players in the hydrocarbon industry, and that's why NATI was set up for best practices to occur. Now, so you wonder why the GMOU that Shell introduced, which was to enable communities benefit from their presence and enhance accountability and transparency so that this kind of problems will not arise, that Bonny was the first kingdom that was approached, and a lot of work went into it. Who shut it down? Who discouraged that transaction from taking place? Why is everything in this kingdom a secret? And why do people fear criticisms? Not too long ago, there have been petitions flying over the place, all over the place, by the founding house, it's called the Dowaris, that 2.4 billion naira payment from Shell, that they are not happy the way it was expended, that it should be accounted for. And instead of the Council of Chiefs to come out with a clear form of accountability, which will have put paid to the speculations, instead they are claiming that they do not recognize any such group of people. And these people, their fathers, if we say that, then we're denying that their fathers ever existed. These were the people who made it possible for there to be a throne. Yes, I'm not saying that if they're superior to, no, that's not what I'm saying. Am I trying to demean the crown? No, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying that if there's an allegation of supposed impropriety, I expect that the Bonny Council of Chiefs, which is laden with very seasoned, educated people, should come forward and should be easy for them to make accountable and embarrass those people who are raising this allegation. But that's not what I'm saying. Bonny's case is like that of River State. In the time past, River State, there were all calls for Port Harcourt State or Rashi State and all kinds of states. But because we did not see the big picture, we refused. People criticized, opposed the formation of those states. Today, River State gave birth to Bayelsa State and has to its credit just 31 local government, while 3 states that were better at the same time River State, the North Central, Northwest, and Northeastern states, have bettered about 7 states and they have over 300 local governments. So what we get from derivation, they get it through the number of local governments and administrative structures which they have. And there was a campaign to create 3 local governments in Bonny. Some of us opposed it. And today, we just have 1 local government. Bringing it down to the Bonny Kingdom, the whole of the Bonny Kingdom, the River State Council of Chiefs, has just two gazetted stools, the King of Bonny and the King of Opobo. If there's a vote there, the younger ethnic groups have about 6 first-class chiefs, so naturally they'll be outvoted. So what it means is that, and the stool of these 2 stools were recognized not by River State, but by the Eastern Nigeria government. I presume, I stand to be corrected. And so what it means that the 35 chieftaincy houses in Bonny, none of them is gazetted. None of them is gazetted. So you can see that there has really been no progress. There's been no progress in line with the current realities that are facing us that live in either resident or are from River State. Now, bring it back, so, and you see a deliberate attempt for people to want to distort history. Let me say this. I cannot determine where I'm born or how I'm born, but the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria ensures that I have equal rights like you. But while I am enjoying those rights, I, Eugene Abels, cannot be king of Bonny because I do not fall historically into those lineages that provides leadership of that magnitude. So we must respect the throne. The throne of the king of Bonny, that throne is the epitome of, is the conscience of Bonny, is the epitome of justice. So I will ask that that His Majesty should do the unusual by begin to call for a greater stakeholders meeting. Let us change the way we do things in Bonny. For instance, that I think we need to whittle down the powers of the Council of Chiefs. The reason is this: they do not own land. So if I own land, my family own land, I can contribute for their upkeep because the Council of Chiefs is just a college of leaders where they come to discuss common interests. But with what we're seeing now, they're becoming partisan. We expect them to have been the standard for leadership. And you hear them say they suspend somebody. You cannot remove. Chiefs are created from the families. Chiefs are not imposed on families. Yes, even the governor can remove recognition from the king of Bonny, but he cannot put somebody else there because there's a channel and the process for it. So I would like to appeal to the king, His Majesty, that he should call that going forward, that there should be an enlarged conversation that will begin to stop this over-centralization of power and stop the things we accuse politicians of doing, and begin to provide room for accountability and transparency, and try to create peace in all the other communities where leadership, they've not been able to handle leadership. Instead, people allege that people from outside are trying to instigate crisis within those places, and I think this should stop. And going forward, I would suggest that Bonny and every community that receives money should have a budget. There is no reason why any child from Grand Bonny should be out of school. There should be no reason why Finima should be dependent on youth corpers as doctors. There should be no reason why the kingdom of Bonny cannot put down a certain sum of money. And when they do, the IOCs and the companies on the island will take us seriously and take that money and provide security on that channel. How they run it will be their business. We have shown time without season that we are incapable of running things. So whatever sum that is supposed to pay, they just deduct a portion and use it to run security, use it to run health for us, because we have shown that we do not lack capacity. The king, His Majesty, can do well to lead this conversation. Yes, and I would think I hear that there's also an issue that concerns payment of royalties from LNG. LNG produces in dollars. LNG pays royalty, its entitlement to the federal government in dollars. It sells in dollars. There's no reason why Bonny should receive anything from LNG in naira. Now I'll come to my home base, which is called Finima. The Finima case is so bad, it's like a dark room. Where the accounts of the families are a secret. The signatories to the accounts are secret. Expenditure on the accounts are secret. It's so bad that even the children have taken the elders to court to account for how they're expending money. We hear of all sorts of allowances being paid. We hear that humongous sums there's connivance with lawyers to overcharge the community. We hear that even judgments and rulings are even kept secret, and weaponized so that people have undue advantage on that community, so they don't even have a library. For communities that have over 700 years, this is an embarrassment. And I think it is time that we stop this in Finima. It is time for accountability. It is time for transparency. There's no reason why any Bonny person should be kidnapped or killed on that Bonny channel. There's no reason why any child in Finima should be out of school. There's no reason why that health center should not be functional. We should hand it back, should go and beg and apologize to the companies that built it and beg them to run it. May we take away these our personal interests, and we have been looking for money for a long time. Let's leave this money thing and put the community's interest before every other person. Now, for some of you in Finima who are trying to distort history, you connive with people, you undermine what you belong to, where you come from, and think you gain more relevance from coming from outside. You're wasting your time. And a lot of young people have refused to read books. There are 4 fundamental books about Bonny history that you can read. Nobody can change it, irrespective of what you want to do. You can't change it. There are documents in Enugu. There are documents in the Enugu archives. There are documents in the British archives. Those documents cannot be changed. So let's be a bit circumspect in the things, and things in the bid to show loyalty, the things we say and do. And so, in rounding up, I know my message will be misconstrued. I know meanings will be read to it. It's not a problem. But the thing is that Bonny is too old to be where it is. This is a kingdom where King's College started from. This is a kingdom. In that school, the number 1 student was Herbert Macaulay, who turned out to be the foremost nationalist in Nigeria. This is a school where the foremost church came from, where Ajayi Crowther he became bishop. The records are there. This is a kingdom where the photographs we thought for years belonged to an Oyibo man, not knowing that it was done by a young Bonny lad who died at the age of 35, called J.A. Green. This is a place where an Ikwere doctor came to beg us so that he can put the Igbani language in our laws so that they can be gazetted. He was so embarrassed that he did not receive any form of cooperation. We must stop this for the sake of our tomorrow, for the sake of our children. It's the way we are presenting ourselves that are making people to do the things they do to us. May God bless Bonny, may God bless Riverside, and may God bless me too. Peace.